Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call to order the September 18th, 2024 regular city council meeting to order. Ms. Cassandra.
Councillor Marvin Martinez.
Present.
Councillor Barbara Casey.
Here.
Councillor Michael Montoya.
Present.
Councillor David Ulivari.
He's excused.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Councilman Martinez, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councillor Casey, will you lead us in a moment of silence?
Let us take a moment to consider all the wonderful things that we have in Las Vegas, the beautiful history, culture, language, and most importantly, the people that make up our community. Let us give thanks to our Creator for the wonderful people that we deal with every day, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And be thankful for everything that we have because we have a wonderful community. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
No, at this point, I'd also like to keep in mind in prayer the family, the Gallegos family from the Valley. We lost a dear friend, a good leader, a coach, a good fireman, Mr. Stephen Gallegos, was laid to rest today, and we keep their family in prayer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, next is approval of agenda, and I do have a couple recommendations for an amendment. The first one is amendment to business item 1. That one is, there was a typo on the 50-cent increase to regular hourly rate of pay. It shows 0.05 and it should be 0.50, so that's 50 cents. The second one is removal of business item number 17. And that is the one for the Lodgers Tax Board recommendation regarding the salute to the troops. And then the last one I have is to table business item number 14 until the first meeting in October, which is October 9th.
Okay. Those were the recommendations by Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Mayor.
Those are included. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other changes?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Martinez?
Yes, I'd like to see if I could move item 6 from the business items to just after presentations, which is item 11, and just before consent agenda.
Jim Montoya?
Yeah, I'd like to have item number 6 removed from the agenda completely. We are under moratorium.
Okay, so.
Isn't that what he just?
Yeah, he just moved that. So I guess with those changes, and I don't know if one wants to make a motion with what your suggested changes were, and we'll take a vote on that.
Well, okay, then I'll just go ahead and make a motion, or I move to move item 6 to right before consent agenda.
Motion by,
Point of order. I had a request on removing item number 6
okay, and
as part of the agenda. Is that acceptable to your motion or not?
item 6 is what he wanted to move up.
No, out.
No, I wanted to move it.
Out.
So he said up, so that's why I'm gonna take it as a motion. So I have a motion by Councilman Martinez. Do I have a second?
And Mr. Mayor, does that motion include the recommendations from City Manager?
Yes.
I have a second.
I'm asking on
Which one
my
are we
request.
doing here?
So his motion, Councilman Martinez's recommendation are to go with the recommendations of the city manager and to move item number 6 to presentations. Well, right after presentations, I apologize. Business item number 6.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Casey. Roll call.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to remove item number 6 from the agenda.
I have a motion on the floor. We're taking roll call on that motion.
Well, I can still make a motion.
I have a motion on the floor right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, after your motion, you will.
Councillor Casey?
Yes.
Councillor Martinez?
Yes.
Councillor Montoya? I have a motion by Councillor Martinez, a second by Councillor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
I have a motion to make.
So,
I'd like to remove item number 6 off the agenda.
so we already approved the
I know
agenda,
you can still have a motion.
but we already approved the agenda.
Well, if you turn it down, you turn it down, but it's a motion. Ask your city attorney.
The agenda's already been approved with that motion.
With that motion, the agenda,
With the changes.
That was a motion for the agenda with those changes, right?
That's why I
That is
asked for an
correct.
amendment, but
Okay.
if they don't want an amendment, then we'll ask for a second motion on the floor.
my understanding was the motion was for the approval, not just the modification. So it was a modification to approve the agenda with modifications. So my understanding is that motion would stand. We could have taken an amendment, but without that amendment, unfortunately, the agenda's approved by that vote.
But I called for an amendment and it was never refused.
At that point,
Your motion was to remove it.
And I made I asked for an amendment. It was never recognized on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on to public input. We have no public input this evening. Moving on to mayor's appointments, reports, recognitions, and proclamations.
At this time, I just, want to make a comment. Can't believe I have to make this comment, but I want to just, for the record, state that we as a governing body shouldn't be giving directions to employees. We shouldn't be bullying employees. That needs to stop. If I want to let employees know that the only person that falls under this governing body is the city manager, and that you are covered under the Whistleblower Act. If you're giving directions and you're not following the chain of command through the city manager, please follow the city manager. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, moving on to our councilors' reports.
Councilors?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to forego my report because we have so much on the agenda.
Councilors?
Mr. Mayor, I will pass on the councilor's report as well.
Councilor?
And that's for the floor, Mayor.
Next item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Police chief's report. We have our police chief, Mr. Marquez.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager. So today is going to be the police chief's report for the month of July. Correction, it should be August, sorry about that. So traffic citations for that month, we had 259, 6 non-traffic citations, 41 parking citations, 31 arrests were made, 2 burglary reports, 9 animal control calls, and calls for service in total were 1,319 for the field operations division. Up here, we have one of our new officers, Pablo Lopez, being sworn in as a police officer on August 7th. Our communication division answered a total of 1,536 calls. PD had 1,319, fire department had 110, 199 ambulance calls, 92 animal control, 27 city calls, and 805 911s for the month. For our animal care center, we had a beginning shelter count of 35 dogs, 13 cats for a total of 48. We had intake from the public of 67 dogs, 5 cats, 72 for total. We had 3 adoptions for dogs, 2 for cats, for a total of 5. We had 22 outside of the community transfers for the coalition, for a total of 22 dogs for the month. 7 dogs were returned to their owners. Dogs and cats euthanized were 0 for the month. And treatable and manageable, we had 1 dog died in the animal care, lost or died in the shelter was 1. And the ending shelter count was 65 dogs, 16 cats for a total of 81. United World College students began their weekly volunteering where they help walk dogs or feed, clean kennels, things along those lines. There's an adoption event in Edgewood, New Mexico, that they'll be attending again this upcoming weekend. This will be the third time that we went to that and have had pretty good success. The animal care manager and one kennel tech attended in Mexico Humane Conference from the 12th to the 13th. And the shelter hosted a spay and neuter clinic, and the clinic was able to spay and neuter and microchip over 463 animals in San Miguel County. That was held from August 23rd through the 26th. Our information division processed 113 offense incident reports, 30 30 accident reports were closed, 315 citations were entered, 134 customers attended to, 287 documents scanned, and 15 IPRAs were completed. Our evidence seized by agents and investigators and our police officers, we had 75 new cases come into evidence, 156 items turned in, 5 items of property released back to the individuals, 30 cases went to the New Mexico labs and also the APD lab for processing. 3 cases were turned over for evidence, for digital evidence. We had 5 fentanyl pills, 1 gram of cocaine, 1 gram of marijuana. We had 11 assigned cases to the street crimes unit, 30 self-initiated cases. They made 12 arrests. They executed 3 search warrants, closed out 18 cases, and recovered 1 stolen vehicle. They also seized 2 grams of methamphetamine, 1 Suboxone strip, and 1 firearm. They also answered 82 calls for service in the month of August, and they worked a U.S. Marshals Operation Blue Lightning to assist with apprehending some outstanding felony warrants that we had in town. And they also attended meetings at District Court, Magistrate Court, Safe House interviews, and the MDT meetings. We had 3 police personnel were invited to participate in the tactical emergency casual care with the fire department from August 7th through the 9th. 3 of our officers participated, enjoyed the class. We're looking forward to sending a next set of officers to that. We had 3 informational travels for the month of August. I traveled to Las Cruces and attended the 67th Municipal League Conference on August 14th. We had grant operations for selective traffic enforcement that was conducted August 6, 2024. 11 citations were issued for speeding, uninsured, and other citations. We also had another step operation on August 20th where we issued 18 citations for speeding and uninsured, and also whatever other citations might have came with that. We did another step operation on the 26th where 15 citations were issued. We also conducted a step operation on the 27th where 23 citations were issued. And we did a buckle up, click it or ticket on the 27th where we issued 15 citations. We had 9 police applicants interested in vacant positions, 2 lateral applicants. 4 applicants are interested in a vacant position for communications. We had 1 applicant for animal control. During the month of August, we've been conducting physical fitness and written test exams every other Friday, which is giving us a good schedule, and we're getting on track and showing some success in bringing more people in as we're pre-planning on those. We interviewed 1 communication specialist, and actually we hired her, so we are up 1 in there. No hiring events were scheduled for the month of August. Several applicants contacted or via email applications, and they were removed from the recruitment list due to no communication with the recruiter. We attended Music in the Park 8/2 of 24. We also had Music in the Park 8/9. We participated for the 5 and 10K run that was hosted by the city on the 10th. We participated in the Salute to the Troops on the 11th. Again, Music in the Park on the 16th and the 23rd and the 30th. And we also had the Fiesta Parade on the 31st and the Fall Fiestas on the 30th and the 31st of this month. Our vacancies are 1 police commander, 2 police lieutenants in the field operations, 1 police sergeant on the field operations, 2 investigators, 1 narcotic agent, 9 police officers, 3 communication specialists full-time, 2 communication specialists part-time, 1 communication manager, and 2 animal control officers. Our vacancies are now down to 24, opposed to in May when we're up in the 30s, mid-30s. So it's looking positive. We're continuing to push hard on the recruiting. We're getting a lot of people coming in weekly that we're passing through the testing process and background investigations. So it's looking really good. And these numbers will be down again next month. We did hire another non-certified police officer, Jose Trujillo, who also started. And that concludes my report.
Questions?
Mayor,
Martinez?
Chief Barkis, I just wanted to say thank you for the speeding, the stepping up on that speeding. You did a lot of step, program there for the community, and I wanted just to say thank you because it still continues to be an issue in town, and I appreciate anything you can do to slow people down. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Counselor Casey?
Thank you. I just want to thank Chief Marcus also because he is very quick to address constituent issues, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank him publicly for taking the time to not just call people, but actually meet with them and explain things to them. And he has been able to de-escalate a lot of situations that could have turned out differently had he not taken the time to do that, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Chief. Motion?
Mr. Mayor. Yes, Chief, just two comments. Loud noise vehicles are being reported to me, and also speeders over all our community, keep that in mind. I'm glad to see the numbers come down on the vacancy rate. 24, that's pretty good. And hopefully those races helped out to bring some people back. Well, keep up the good work. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, our next item is our finance report. We have our Deputy Finance Director, Mr. Dominic Chavez.
Welcome, Dominic.
Council. I'm here to present to you the revenue and expense report for August 31st, 2024. On our general fund, we're showing a deficit of $413,462. Partially related to a few factors of insurance premium being paid in August. We also had 3 pay periods in the month of August. And so that's the reason for that. On our enterprise fund, we're showing a deficit of 4.2 million. The reason for that is if you look at the expense side, underwater 640, that is where we're
charging all our emergency procurement to for the month until we had a new line item set.
so that would be moved over. Our recreation center, we have a surplus of $279,899 for the month of August. And if I may, you'll see on the lower portion of the revenue where it says general fund transfer, that's where that's coming from. That was $1.5 million put in for roofing. The lodgers tax, we're showing a deficit of
I apologize. Lodgers tax, we're showing a deficit of $11,000 and $11,724. For cannabis, we're showing a surplus of $18,733. And opioid, we haven't received any funds this year, so we are showing us, that should read deficit, my apologies. A deficit of $4,848. And in the
Of course, we're showing a surplus of $15,706,000. I'd like to point you to the second line of the revenue. That should be $140 million, not $98 million. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions?
Yeah, just one question, Dominic. On the funding for the animal shelter, where are we on that?
we just took that to council
Legislature request?
for the 780,000.
Yes.
Yes, we just took.
To council. So it's in the budget now.
It's what?
It's in the budget now. It's
Okay.
just not part of this report.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, next on the agenda is presentations not to exceed 10 to 15 minutes. Our first presentation is by Mr. Travis Martinez, our Water Utilities Director. He's speaking on lead and copper rules and revisions.
Mr. Leon, if you could please put the timer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Got to plug this up. All right, sorry about that. I've got it going. Mayor, Council, I'm just bringing you guys up the update for the lead and copper revisions. I don't know, Leon, if you're gonna post that up or. As of to date, I would like to say the city of Las Vegas is actually a couple weeks ahead of schedule. The letters have gotten sent out to all customers and will be completed by October 12th. We are also in the midst of getting every single school and making sure we have everything on the list. And their letters for the lead and copper rules and revisions will be mailed out. And we just received our inventory list that we will be sending to the attorney for review, and then we'll send it, of course, to EPA, which will be ahead of schedule. So basically, the Lead and Copper Act is lead and copper entering the drinking water primarily through plumbing materials. Exposure to lead and copper may cause health problems, ranging from stomach distress to brain damage. In 1991, the EPA published a regulation to control lead and copper in the drinking water, and this regulation is known as Lead and Copper Rule, also referred to the LCR. Since 1991, the LCR has undergone various revisions to the rule. As history is section below, the treatment technique for the rule requires systems to monitor drinking water at the customer's tap if lead concentrations exceed an action level of 15 parts per millionth or copper concentrations exceed an action level of 1.3 ppm in more than 10% of customers' taps. The system must undergo a number of additional actions in corrosion control. If the level of lead is exceeded, the system must also inform the public about steps that they should take to protect their health and may have to replace the lead service lines. The overview of the lead and copper is lead and copper revisions are sets of requirements that the public systems that were developed to reduce exposure in the lead of drinking water, the LCRR, were originally published in January of 2021 and were taken effect of December 16, 2021, but were delayed to October 16th of 2024. The revision rule details series of requirements that all 60,000 plus public water systems in the United States must meet by October 16, 2024 to prevent drinking water contamination. And this is just a compliance date. The review of compliance locations update as needed. That was in 2023. 2024 service line inventory and lead service lines plan must be due, and beginning 2025, begin the compliance monitoring at the new sites. What do they require? They require to all the water systems to develop lead service lines inventory and make it publicly available. Develop a replacement plan, sample schools, childcare facilities for the lead and copper, strengthen treatment to comply with the new 10 microgram liters trigger levels, communicate with public about the LCRR requirements and the steps that are taken to meet them. The primary motivation for creating the LCCR is to keep people, and especially children, safe from the dangers of drinking water contamination by lead and copper. This is why the lead and copper line service requirement is so important. The inventory allows you to know where is the potential hazards of the piping. To take steps needed to replace and share the information with the public. To make the drinking water safer, the EPA's goals for the lead and copper help water systems identify areas most impacted by contamination hazards, strengthen requirements for drinking water in the communities throughout the United States, replace lead service lines, improve the reliability of water sampling, and improve water systems. Creating the water service line, the city has undergone quite a bit in coming as far as we are. We had to establish objectives in the scope. Location, addresses, age of the lines, line material, condition of the line, customer account associated with the line, diameter of the line, utility side materials, utility side installation dates, private installation dates, building construction dates, goosenecks of the line, private side installation dates, construction, identify the inventory methods. The city has undergone research records as-built drawings, research the age of the lines. The EPA banned the usage of the lead in 1986, so concentrated on older service lines, mapping tools for remaining service lines. Made are of unknown, which the city of Las Vegas is going to have some, of course. Assume that they're always a lead and copper line until we can determine otherwise. That's kind of the rule that we've been putting out there. If we don't know about it, we're gonna deem it as that until we put eyes on it. There's gonna be different methods of tracking methods, so we're gonna share our service line inventory with the public, which is by law we have to do. Report the progress towards inventory completion and use mapping software to visually represent the locations of water service lines in relation with water mains and water meters. I've actually gotten with Lucas here and eventually hoping that we can detail a map for the future for this. And we're hoping to break it down into subsections as far as what places can be determined emergency, residential, commercial, low income, stuff like that, because I guarantee the EPA is gonna request every water system to do that. Collection of the data, historical records. Let me tell you, when I went down to the county, man, I was finding things from like 1890s. It was pretty intense. So I know when this comes up, it's going to be fascinating to see some of the stuff we find underground. Verifying our inventory and and what to do after making the inventory. And the big thing is, of course, notifying the public. And these are the letters, as you guys can see, that have been sent out to the community to help them identify the customers end if they have any type of lead or copper. That will help us determine the inventory when it does come down to it, because of course, not only is it the water system, but it's also gonna affect the customer as well. And this one right here, the City of Las Vegas customers will receive the notice in the monthly billing on the following dates. We sent them out on September 4th, the 6th, the 10th, the 12th, and then the next billing cycle to complete it, everybody will get it on October 4th, the 7th, the 10th, and the 16th, which we will meet the deadlines for notifying the public of the lead and copper. And as you guys can see, the property, oh, sorry, it's kind of hard to see, but it just tells everything that the Lead and Copper Act by the EPA is doing. And down here, it'll have the customer's name where they could put it in. They can give us their phone number, their email address, which they can turn into customer service when they come and they pay the bill or anything like that, or even utilities. And they can identify, if they can identify, all you gotta do is mark it down there if their plumbing is lead, copper, or unknown, if they're not even sure. That'll help us identify in the long run. And that's just my my update.
Presentations only at this time.
Oh, duh, I forgot, yeah.
So if you guys want further discussion, what we could do is put a discussion item and we'll move on.
Yeah, I'll contact Travis
Thank you.
with my question.
Thank you, Travis.
No problem. Leah, and I don't know how to take this out, but I'll leave that to you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Mayor, our next presentation is by Dominic Chavez, our Deputy Finance Director, on operations and objectives.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It was a recommendation by our finance director that we come as a team in front of you to give you an idea of what we do, what our positions are, and who we are. And so that everybody gets the opportunity just to enlighten you on what their job duties are. And so, of course.
Dominic, I'm not sure if the watching audience, could you mind going to the mic? I'm not sure if they can hear you.
Not at all. I'll have them each sit down individually.
Okay.
So yes, it was a recommendation of the finance director for us to come as a team in front of you just to tell you who we are, what our positions are, and what they entail. It's daily for me, monthly finance monitoring, budgeting, capital projects, debt service, processing, payroll, accounts payable, yearly audits, financing, now FEMA funds. It's gotten quite large. And we're looking at streamlining some of our processes to see if we can get rid of paper. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that's what we're moving towards.
And with that, I'd like to bring up my staff individually so they can have a seat and give you their names and what they do.
Mr. Hill.
Mr. Chairman, could we get another chair there?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So my name is Anthony Trujillo, and I am a general accountant for City of Las Vegas. My duties include posting of cash receipts, bank reconciliations, tax compliance with our gross receipts tax, converting our GRT amounts for our GRT received, processing our automatic clearinghouse transactions, processing accounting entries, fund transfers, ensuring compliance with our NMFA loans and grants, processing that, and attending the Finance Committee meetings. Right now, my current priority is training our new accountant, Chastity, and I believe that moving to an electronic system will help us with our efficiency regarding our journal entries, our checking of purchase orders, and also with our checking of payroll.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mrs. Chastity?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Chastity Garcia. I'm the new general accountant for the City of Las Vegas. On a daily basis, we work on reconciling our daily cash receipts. On a monthly basis, we do bank reconciliations. We ensure tax compliance through the GRT. We do electronic transfers through our funds. We enter in journal entries to account for those transfers. We ensure compliance with our NMFA loans and grants, and we also attend the Finance Committee meetings. Right now, I'm currently working on the NMFA loans and doing the bank reconciliations for August. We are working towards electronic filing systems. It'll help improve our organization. It'll help us share our files easier, ensure that our recovery of files is better in case the flash drive is to go out or anything like that. We'd be able to recover it through the cloud, and we'd be able to give real-time updates between me and Anthony. So it'll be easier for us to access the same files. Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you and welcome.
Mr. Leon?
Good evening. My name is Leon Trujillo. I'm an administrator of computer operations, IT technician. My current duties consist of recording the YouTube meetings, adding information to the city government website given to me by the city staff, learning how to retrieve video for surveillance systems in other departments, and some user support. I'm also capable of installation, maintenance, repairs of computers, servers, and other computer services, installing network hardware and maintaining its functionality, network administration, installation and maintenance of computers, software and applications, installation and programming of voice over IP telephones, setup of city-issued cell phones, providing recommendations for IT equipment that is compatible with our network and Windows environment.
Current priority is refocusing on primary job functions that are in line with the IT department's capabilities. This includes maintaining the integrity and security of the network. We are trying to educate staff on the importance of going paperless and the benefits of it. The latest priorities are spending less time with things that are non-scope of my experience or job duties, which include the city website and streaming meetings, to focus on network integrity and security. With the finance department, develop a comprehensive plan to reduce paper usage with the city, leveraging existing digital tools and processes, incorporate strategies for electronic notifications, digital timesheets, and purchase requisitions. This can be achieved by simply not sharing passwords because those are our digital signatures. We can also reduce the necessity of unnecessary printers, as we already have an abundance. Staff will have to open up to change and not stick with the old ways or their own ways. Going paperless won't just save costs on paper or toner, it will save on time. It'll reduce the time it takes to process payroll and the time it takes from quoting a product and receiving the PO. And that's all I have.
Okay, Leon, thanks. Ms. Ana Marie?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ana Maria Ortega, and I am the Accounts Payable Specialist in the Finance Department. My regular duties on a daily basis is I have to sort through all the incoming invoices, making sure that they are ready for processing, which means making sure everything is stamped and signed by the departments, making sure that they have PO numbers on them, and all the right paperwork is attached from like fixed assets on anything purchased over $1,000, receiving reports unless it is for a service such as phone bills, vehicle repairs, oil changes, etc. When getting ready to pay invoices, they need to be sorted into 3 different stacks. One is for all the POs. Then the second stack is anything that has to be signed by the director. And then the third one is all my direct pays. I have to alphabetize them all. I have to pull out POs for all the invoices that I'm paying with POs. Once all that is done, I'm ready to start the processing of the invoices for payment. Once they are entered into the system, we need to audit them and make sure everything's correct, like the PO numbers, make sure I use the right PO, make sure the amounts, dollar amounts are correct. The PO doesn't have enough money, then I need to get back with the department and make sure and let them know that they need to update their POs. Let's see. And if there's not enough money, then we put it aside until the following week, so that way we can try to process it. That hopefully they can get all their stuff together within that week. And then after I'm done doing all of the verifications and stuff that the checks are made, then I have to go back and make sure everything is done by 2 p.m. on Fridays. I have to have the checks out by then. Also, aside from all of that, I have to do payroll transfers, accounts payable transfers, payroll accounts payables, bond checks. I get the spreadsheets ready for all our utility bills, the city bill, the P&M bills, phone bills. Right now, I am also capable of changing POs to be POs. That's not like my job description, but I've picked it up. I've learned how to do it. I'm also able to do line item transfers. Right now, my priority is just learning as much as I can about my position. I'm new to it. I've been in there for 4 months as of today. And making sure all my payables are paid out on a timely manner, following all the procurement rules. We can improve the process by making sure all the departments know the standard procedures and when they send me in their invoices. And moving forward to going electronic processing. I think that would help our department a lot. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Ms. Jennifer?
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Silva. I'm the purchasing agent supervisor. Right now, I don't have no one to supervise because I'm short one guy. But however, my regular duties is processing PRs with the POs, making sure all the paperwork is there, all the guidelines of the state procurement is being followed. And my current priority is what I see is we use way too much paper. And to make it more paperless, process the PRs in a timely manner, and get the POs to every department. And to me, is putting it in the system would help tremendously and get it done and process it through. The inventory at the warehouse, we need to find a different method on how to do it that it would get processed quicker to order, to get it in. Blankets, I'd like to see more blankets on items. I have a lot of information that they're saying that we need to make it easier on departments, to let them go to a store and purchase something, not having to have 3 quotes for little items. And what I'd like to see improved in my process is make it a paperless environment. Have more training on Tyler. I do have experience on Tyler. And to train other departments and to see our RFPs would have a software for it could be easier for us to get more bids out there. Get bids in and get it processed. That's what I'm looking at.
Thank you so much, and welcome
Thank you.
also.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Sorry all our staff couldn't be here, but just know that we are a team and we work well together, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dominic, and for all you do. And Mr. City Manager, thank you. I know as we're going through the presentation the past few months, we've been trying to inform the public more as to what each department does, and I think that's, in your whole concept and goal of transparency, it's important that, the community knows what each department does, so thank you. Ms. Cassandra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on to business item number 6, discussion direction regarding a water line to the meat processing plant located at 27 Sale Barn Road, Las Vegas, New Mexico. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilor Martinez.
So I'll go ahead and start here. I know I received a call from Councilman Martinez. I know this item has, Mr. Britt, if you don't mind coming up.
Not at all.
So this item, I know, again, we talk about, openness, and we're a governing body. So I just wanted, to put this on the agenda just to have that discussion. I think Mr. Britt was working on, trying to purchase this barn, but of course it needs water to that facility. I know we have ordinances in place, but right now it makes no sense for the city right now to, work behind the scenes and give direction to the city manager to work on the legal aspects if this governing body at the end of the day isn't going to even, basically take this into consideration. So right now, again, this is only for direction to give the city manager and staff to look at, basically speaking, on what are the possibilities and fall within compliance within ordinances and also within statutes. There's a lot of, information with DOT that I know Mr. Reese is going to have to do, but I think right now we're just asked direction, I'm asking for direction to give the city manager as an entire body. And Mr. Martinez, I'll go ahead and.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This item was brought to me by Chairman Garcia. Basically, he came up to me and said, there's a good business opportunity for an individual to come in to our community, which pretty much is just right outside our community. So we do understand that you fall in that ETZ zone, which is outside the city limit. In the past, that business has been a meat processing plant for, I guess, several years. A couple of owners, different owners that have had it. And, the information that we're understanding, again, I'm a businessman. I look at business as an important step for our community. And of course, all of the ramifications, whatever it takes to get to that point, is it feasible? Is it not feasible? We did have a meeting, myself, Chairman Garcia, yourself on the phone, and Travis Martinez, and also Tim Hageman that was available at the time. It was just a short meeting, trying to get direction on what we can do, if we can help. The idea would be that if the city is allowed to do a water tap, that water tap would be on city property at DBIB Park. If the city allows that water tap, then it would be the responsibility of yourself to get that water tap, the permits, whatever it would require to get to that infrastructure placed and done. Now, it's not just a matter of, we could say yes or no to anything, but the real fact is that there's still permits that need to be submitted. I don't know what kind of time frame that would be, possibly a month through just, the State Highway Department or the Department of Transportation. And then there's easement that needs to be taken care of. So I just wanted to have it as a discussion item as well, and I talked to the mayor to see if we can get it on there for discussion. I know that Mr. Travis Martinez did some research on the amount of gallons that you could possibly, your usage. I think it was weekly and monthly and possibly even annually. And I don't know if you want to get that information from Travis just to get an idea of what that would be. I'm always looking to try to improve our community. I hate to have to see businesses close down in our community and walk away. But because this item does fall in the ETZ zone of the city, it does not fall within the city limits, it would have to be something that would be passed by, the governing body, of course. So, give me an idea what your amount of employees that you'd want to have available working at that site. Do you have an idea? Just a couple of questions, just so we can get a feel for it.
I do. Mayor, council, thank you for this time. We're going to employ about 15 employees, all from the city of Las Vegas. We do own a store in Albuquerque. I own all my ranches in the McIntosh area, and I own a USDA federal plant now processing, but I don't own a slaughter. So that connects all the dots to operate my company and then open it to the public. And what they used to have here was for beef, buffalo, lamb, goats, and pork, and we'll open it up to the public. We're also going to have a meat store, and we do prime, we're organic, we're all natural. We're going to have a meat store in that building. So that's going to be open to the public to sell meat.
The retail store.
It's going to be a retail store, something like my retail store at 12th and Gragos in Albuquerque, a little smaller because it's what I can do there, but we're going to have an absolutely retail store, and we're going to employ probably 15 to 18 employees.
Okay, so I guess really the direction's not up to me, of course, and does the city want to pursue something like this? Do you put out there at, it's going to be across from, of course, the DBIB Industrial Park. Is it feasible for us to put a line or a water tap at that point? And would you be prepared to take that water line and basically get the permitting that would be required And of course easement.
Absolutely. I do understand that, and if the city can get us to the easement, we'll take care of the rest. And
Now-
I'm planning on doing a major renovation there. We're gonna pave the parking lot. We're gonna make it very nice. We're gonna make it like my store, my facilities in Albuquerque. I've been doing this 45 years, and I've been in business 45 years. So we want to make a presence in Las Vegas. We do. It's important. I think there's great opportunities for myself and all the residents, and I think they deserve that. And, you know, they had it here before. It's not here. I think they deserve that.
At this point, have you purchased that building?
I am not. I was under contract, and
Okay.
then when there was no water to be had, we put it on hold. We did talk, we have been talking to the receivership, and they're waiting for this meeting tonight. And we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock scheduled to tell them what happened here to go further. And unfortunately, if I'm not able to get a water line, that building's gonna set forever. There's no, that building's gonna be vacant. But we're willing to start over again, and we have a meeting to set up tomorrow. I've been working on this behind the scenes with everybody helping us in this, and we are ready to move forward. And we'll spend the money, whatever it takes. It's all out of my pocket. I don't borrow any money. It's all out of pocket, and we're willing to do it.
Okay, so I guess the only thing I could probably ask of the governing body and, you know, city manager would be if he were able to get the permitting and the easements, is this something that we can consider? I do know, like Pro Tem mentioned, that we do have a moratorium in place. So, again, I just, you know, I want to know what direction we can go with it. If it's something that's dead in the water, you know, I'm only one voice, but I want to get a feel of, you know, the other governing body, you know, the rest of the governing body to feel, is this something that's doable so that we can continue to pursue? And not only that, so that this gentleman can continue to pursue his business venture. I'd like to see a business come in. I think it'd be beneficial, but I'm only one vote, so I can't speak for the rest of the council. So, you want to bring up maybe Travis and have him talk about a little bit about the water? And
So right now, you know, again, I just want to, you know, make this clear, is this is only discussion right now to give direction to the city manager as a group, so he could proceed with his staff, whether he has to contact legal or what. I know we have a moratorium, as Pro Tem mentioned, but then again, you know, we went from 2 to 7 in an instant. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked into to make sure that we do this right, legally and ethically. But again, you know, we shouldn't be giving direction again on our own, and this is where, as a governing body, we're giving direction for the city manager. It made no sense to, you know, one individual give him direction and him use resources, city staff, city attorney, city, you know, give resources that's at the end of the day, you know, we don't even want to have that discussion. So that's what we're here for, again, is to give direction to proceed with staff, with the city manager, to get with staff to look into all the aspects of this, as, you know, the pros and cons, and then we'll bring that back again and we'll make the decision. I totally support, me personally, I support it. But again, you want to make sure we fall within statutes, ordinances, and make sure that we're following guidelines. So I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Pro Tem.
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, we are aware of that meeting with Mr. Councilor Martinez and staff?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. You know, we had a meeting 2 months ago, the mayor, city manager, and you, and Mr. Harold Garcia at the site, that location. And at that time, it was pretty obvious that the mayor was in favor, I was against it. And Mr. City Manager, let me know if I'm running a fine line, because, you know, the reason I wanted to withdraw this item from the agenda is because we shouldn't even be talking about this. Because the city of Las Vegas has a moratorium in place where we cannot extend our water lines or give water meters to anyone in the county at this time. And that's pretty much, it's been like that for some time now. I don't know how long. But the thing is that this is also, or might jeopardize our funding with FEMA, which I don't even want to go there. We should be very cautious as to where we're headed with this one. And that's come, the ATZ zone area, we have probably 2,800 potential customers in the near future that want water in the county. We have another 800 vacant homes, properties, citywide. And we have properties and 400 vacant properties. And then New Mexico Highlands University wants to bring in another 30 additional homes into the golf course as a development. So we need to have water, in my calculations, for at least 900 homes in the near future, and that's another 16,000 acre feet of water. Now, my discussions with the mayor and the city manager at that meeting was that this plant or this facility or this business would use 60,000 gallons a week. And if you multiply, that would be 92 acre feet of water per year. And I want to remind council and as well as our city manager, others have come to us before. Ojitos Frios residents have come to us to extend our water lines in that direction. Other developers, 3 other developers have come to us in the county surrounding ETZ zone area. And again, New Mexico Highlands University. So, I think that, while we're still in the moratorium and we haven't figured out our water crisis, and we're still in a water crisis as far as I'm concerned, because we have some issues. The city has a lot of issues with our water system. And for us to try to even compromise or even give you a hope would be false. That's the way I look at it. I think that next year, our storage at Story Lake is up for renewal for contract. So I don't know where this new water is supposed to be coming from. We've extended our water lines to the city, to the county from the city. Yeah, it's a city-owned system. And my last conversation with the chairman was, well, it's your system, he said. You guys take care of it. You guys deal with it. Well, I am dealing with it. That water belongs to the citizens of Las Vegas and of the businesses and all those vacant properties and the future of Vegas. Till we don't fix this problem that we have up there, that moratorium needs to stay in place. Now, if council or mayor or Mr. Martinez want to put on the agenda to take the moratorium out and open the floodgates, that's up to them. That's the subject at hand. We can't put the cart before the horse. We haven't even received what was promised or what was told to us from FEMA. We haven't received a penny. We're hoping that everything goes well. And Mr. City Manager, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel that we're still in crisis and we're still with a lot of issues that we got to deal and that we have at the table. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And again, just to clarify, this is only to give direction to the city manager to look into all those concerns that you bring, Pro Tem. This isn't saying open the floodgates. This is giving the staff and all of the personnel, the city manager, and he gives his staff direction. Again, I think it's worth the discussion. You have concerns, but to me, whether they live a mile out of town, they're still considered our residents. As we noticed during the floods, we had to take care of them and give them the water. So we can't just say, forget those that live within the ETZ. We're all one community. I know Mr. Reezy had a comment, and then, Mr. Chairman, if you want to add anything.
Thank you, Mayor. The meeting was 5 months ago, and it's 600 gallons per week, not 18,000. It's 600 gallons a week. That's what we discussed. The meeting was 5 months ago.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening. My name is Harold Garcia. I'm the Chairman of the San Miguel County Commission. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the proposed business. You know, you and I have had several conversations, Mayor, since you were a councilman, and we've been talking about doing economic development jointly between the city and the county. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever for me to be appointed to an economic development committee for the city of Las Vegas if I don't get to participate on behalf of the extraterritorial zone of San Miguel County. It doesn't make any sense. Although I am a resident of the community and I would strongly support economic development within the community. You know, we had this meeting 5 months ago, and Mr. Montoya, Councilman Montoya, quoted me saying that it's your lines, it's your business. I stand here in support of whatever the city wants to do. I've been called, Mayor, you called me during the crisis with the water, and I was there. I was there probably more times than some of the city elected officials here were there. I was there at your request, I was there at your invitation. We had some of the San Miguel County staff supporting you. I think that you're still receiving PIO services with one of our staff members. I don't know if you still are, but you were during the time. You know, our sheriff was there to represent the whatever needed to be done within the service area of downstream of the Peterson Reservoir. You know, and, you know, the city of Las Vegas does have the moratorium, but I've worked for the county. I've been the county commissioner now for almost 6 years. Before that, I was the public works director for 16 years. During my time, and I think that moratorium has been in place for maybe as long as I've been at the county, maybe 16, maybe longer. During that time, we've had the Tractor Supply store that came into business. That's outside the city limits. How did that store get a meter if we had a moratorium? We have a daycare that just opened right there by Harlan Road, right there by the drive-in. That's outside the city limits. It's got a water meter. How did that happen? During my time, I issued permits along the county right-of-way within Cinder Road. I issued permits where the water meter was installed inside the city limits. For example, on Cinder Road. Cinder Road is about 700 feet north of Mills, and that's where the city limits ends. Well, the water meter was placed right at about 700 feet. And then the resident had to run their water line within the county right-of-way. So the water meter was inside the city limits. The same thing happened on 8th Street. Steve Lucero bought a property and he built a house probably a mile within the county limits, but his water meter is inside the city limits. I know because I issued that permit. And I've given those examples. You know, Councilman Montoya, while we were there at the meeting at the sale barn, he said, you know what? We don't have water to offer you outside the county, but buy my property on 12th Street and you'll have all the water you want on 12th Street if you want to build your plant on 12th Street. What kind of economic development is that? What kind of message is that to me that I'm trying to represent the city and the county together? What kind of message does that give to a potential business that's going to bring between 10 and 15 employees? You know, we need to represent the public. It's not just, you know, I'm a no boundaries person. If anything comes up within the city and I can help, I'm going to help. And I don't care if it's within the city limits. And I would hope that the governing body here, if we need help within the county, I would hope that you don't have boundaries as either. And I'm hoping that the city manager is listening to what I'm saying because I'm very humble about it. And I'm speaking, you know, this potential business is probably going to hire between 10 and 15 people where I'm going to shop and where all of you are going to shop. It's not just going to be, oh, it's in the county limits, so let's not give them business. If they hire people, those people are gonna shop in Las Vegas. We have residents in the county that are shopping in Las Vegas every day. You know, the residents of the county are bringing in revenue to the community of Las Vegas because that's what the community of Las Vegas does. You have businesses here that offer service to county residents, that offer service to Mora County residents, that offer service to Harding County residents, Mora County residents. That's what Las Vegas is about. And if you think for 1 minute that you're gonna serve 13,000 people only and not look outside the box, then I'm sorry, but, you know, this governing body needs to look outside the 13,000 people that you represent. I'm very serious about it. And you can quote me, and it's being documented, and that's the way I stand. I support Mr. Rizzi. You know, he can ask for a water meter right now, and that water meter, it complies with the ordinance. And your utilities director is here, he can correct me if he wants. The water meter can be installed inside the industrial park because that's inside the city limits. And Mr. Rizzi can tap into that water meter, and you guys cannot deny it. But by the ordinance, it's allowed. You know, it's just that Mr. Rizzi wants to be a good partner with the city of Las Vegas. Mr. Martinez, you were there. You were there, and you heard the conversation that we had. Mayor, you were there when we were at the sale barn 5 months ago. This man wants to bring business to the community, and because there's a moratorium, there's a potential of him not being approved. And if he doesn't get approved, that business is probably not gonna happen, and you're gonna have an almost $2 million investment in a building that's gonna stay there without any business whatsoever. I would rather see that $2 million building that's already developed than to hope that a $2 million building gets built in Las Vegas for the same type of business. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever for us to be very self-centered about it.
Thank you, Chairman. I had Councilor Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really believe that we need to do everything that we can to promote new businesses and provide jobs, possible jobs for the citizens of not just Las Vegas proper, but the county. I think that this would be a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to get more people employed and help them earn a decent living and have a business that can really thrive. And from what Mr. Rizzi has stated, he has 45 years of experience in his background. He knows what he's doing. He's not just somebody that's, you know, came up with an idea and I think I'll make a meat packing plant or something. He has experience in this area. He knows what he's doing. And I think that he is willing to work with us and to make sure that everything that we do is done appropriately and according to ordinance, state statute, or whatever needs to be done. And I trust that. I have a question. Isn't there already a water line there that exists? So it would just be, how will that work? I mean, if we're looking for another water line?
There's actually 2 water lines that cross the interstate, but they're both private lines.
Okay.
The meat plant was connected to the David Bibb water line, but the last 2 businesses have compromised Mr. Bibb with his account. And you can look at the records on the city.
$18,000.
And so Mr. Bibb has selected to not allow a tap onto his water line anymore.
Okay.
And so it compromises that part of the service line. And so
Okay.
that's why Mr. Rizzi is wanting to get his own water line so that he won't have a problem with the neighbors that he may create or that they may create for him.
And another question, I was very supportive of the previous, the first owner of that business. And my family and myself tried to always purchase our meat from them. Wasn't there a plan that the previous owner had to add a piece of railroad where it would connect to the regular railroad line that was going to, so that was never done?
No, it was never a part of the plan.
Okay.
Mr.
Okay. I would like, I think that, I don't want to say no. Let me just put it that way, plain and simple. I don't want to say no to this. But I feel like I need more information as to how much water would really be used. We have Councilor Montoya saying 92 acre feet of water per year. That sounds like an awful lot of water to me. And so I would like to know a more concrete amount of water that would be able to do your business and have enough water to do it. But I want to know how much that is going to be and how it will affect the water that we provide for not just the community inside the city limits, but we do provide water to the extraterritorial zoning areas also. So I agree with Commissioner Garcia in that we need to work together, and I support working together, and I think that we should not just discard this and say, oh, toss it out, it's not going to work. I think that we need to do more research and come up with a viable plan that everybody can agree to, and we can move forward with this, because I think it would be very beneficial, not just for Mr. Rizzi with his business, but also for the community.
You know, Mr. Rizzi, Mayor, Council, Mr. Rizzi has a well at the site, and that well can be used. The only thing is, when you process meat, you cannot use the well water to process the meat. So he needs the potable water to be able to process the meat.
So there is a well.
Let me just, before we start, I'll just entertain a motion right now. Actually, I should have entertained a motion before we went into discussion. But with that, I'll entertain a motion, if you guys have any right now, or I'll continue the discussion. But before we had a discussion, we should have had a motion, so.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move forward in getting more information on the water needs and any other needs that are necessary for this business to move forward before we make a formal decision of the council.
Motion by Councilor Casey.
Second.
Second, you got that, Mr. Sandra?
Discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah, just a point of clarification, Mr. Garcia, I did say those words, and I obviously was messing around or joking around. My 12th Street property is not for sale, and the ordinance obviously doesn't allow you to have cattle in the city, so. And again, referring to the people that have gotten water, the 8 taps or however amount of waters, I mean, that's part of the reflection why we have a past water director, past city manager, and past mayor. You know, I don't know who approved those, but in my position, I'm here to take care of the citizens, and the citizens come first in my book, and that water belongs to them, and we got to figure it out before we start moving on into factories or developers or anything like that in the county. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. I mean, that's what I got elected for, and I am for economic development, and I hope Highlands brings something good to the plate. That's in field, so badly needed for professors and so forth, but that's where I stand. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sandra, roll call.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
No.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Got that, Mr. City Manager?
I have a lot of notes, sir, and I'm ready.
Thank you. So if you don't mind, Mr. City Manager, meeting with Mr. Rizzo, get some of that information and we'll put it back again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Mayor,
much.
Thank you.
council, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next item?
Mr. Mayor, moving on to our consent agenda. If I can read the consent agenda items into the record, please.
Go ahead.
Request approval, item number 1, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 402523 with Miller Engineering Consultants Incorporated for engineering services for the Public Works Department. Item 2, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 402423 with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for engineering services for the Public Works Department. Item 3, request approval to transfer two 2011 animal control trucks to two other agencies, which would be Mora County and Guadalupe County, and approval to remove from the city's inventory. Item number 4, request approval of a memorandum of agreement between the City of Las Vegas and the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District for government results and opportunity appropriations. And item number 5, request approval of a grant agreement for the backup generator project from the State of New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Councilor Casey?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve all of the items on the consent agenda as they were read into the record.
A motion by Councilor Casey. Do I have a second? Second by Pro Tem Montoya. Roll call.
Councilor Martinez?
Yes.
Councilor Montoya? Yes. Councilor Casey?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to our business items. Business item number 1, request approval of a salary increase of $1.50 to the regular hourly rate of pay to all non-bargaining unit employees, excluding at-will employees who have successfully completed a 6-month probationary period, to include part-time employees with at least 1 year of continuous employment with the City of Las Vegas, and a 50-cent increase to the regular hourly rate of pay at their anniversary annual date of hire. We have our HR Director, Ms. Darlene Arguello, as well as our Dominic Chavez, our Deputy Finance Director, and also City Manager, Mr. Montgomery.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this evening, we're requesting approval of salary increases. Every year, following the approval of the bargaining unit increases, we request the salary increase for all non-bargaining unit to stay consistent with salaries across the board. So this year, we're requesting approval of $1.50 to the regular hourly rate of pay for all non-bargaining unit employees. This will exclude at-will employees and probationary employees. So this will only include employees who have completed their 6-month probationary period and part-time employees that have completed at least 1 year of continuous employment with the City of Las Vegas. This also will include a 50-cent increase to their hourly rate of pay at their anniversary date of hire. Due to the elimination of some longstanding vacant positions, there should be no budget impact for FY25.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion, and I think that's what we need to start doing. We'll get a first, a second, then we'll continue with, follow Robert's Rules of Order, and then we'll have discussion. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the salary increase of $1.50 for the regular hourly rate of pay to all non-bargaining unit employees.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Casey, second by Councilman Martinez. Roll call. If not, discussion. Is there discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Discussion.
just one point of, what's the average percentage rate increase for this? 1%, 2%, 5%, 7%?
It's been between 7 and 10.
7 and 10? Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Councilor Montoya?
Yes.
Councilor Casey? Yes. Councilor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Next item.
Thank you.
Item number 2, request approval of resolution number 2429 for acceptance of the fiscal year 2025 New Mexico Firefighter Recruitment Fund grant in the amount of $131,250. We have our Fire Chief, Mr. Stephen Span.
Mayor and Council. So this 2025 New Mexico Firefighter Recruitment Fund was legislation money passed last year. It's a one-time event. Hopefully they'll redo it. Basically what they awarded us was the $131,250,000. Sorry, my coffee's wearing off. That's basically for one paid position. It's over a 3-year period. First year pays 100% of salary and benefits, up to $75,000. Second year is 50% at 35,000. And then the third year is at 12,500. Anything over that, the city would have to pick up. But this spot is already in our organizational chart. It's already budgeted for this year. Just for once, the state will pick up the bill instead of the city. And it's reimbursed on a quarterly basis, but I need a resolution from the city council advising that you're willing to accept it and abide by the rules of the state for this.
This team, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution of acceptance of fiscal year 25 New Mexico Firefighters Recruitment Fund grant from the legislature.
A motion by Pro Tem Montoya, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Casey, roll call. Unless there's discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, a second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Mayor and Council, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Moving on to item number 3, request approval of resolution 24-28A to accept a grant offer in the amount of $2,218,847.64 for fiscal year 2025 Transportation Program Fund. We have our Public Works Director, Mr. Arnold Lopez.
I think he stepped out to see about the air.
Yeah. That's my fault. My knees are like ice cubes. I'm freezing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sorry about the delay. I was trying to turn the temperature up a bit, but we're getting it. So, this evening we come respectfully to request approval for Resolution 20-28A to accept a grant offer in the amount of $2,218,847 and some change for fiscal year 25. It's a transportation program fund, TPF. So this grant is administered by New Mexico DOT, and that's Department of Transportation. Their share being 95%, and their amount is $2,107,905 and some change. And the city of Las Vegas will have a 5% match, and it's in the amount of $110,942 and change. This is to plan, design, and construct, and construction management, reconstruction, pavement rehabilitation, drainage improvements, ADA compliant curb ramps, and miscellaneous construction to El Creston Circle. Stand for questions.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 24-28A to accept the grant offered in the amount of $2,218,847.64 from the Transportation Department.
Motion by Pro Tem Montoya, second by Councilor Casey. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to extend my gratitude and my thanks to the New Mexico DOT. They're an extended family of mine, and I want to thank them and our city staff for working together on getting this accomplished, this item and the next item on the agenda. And this is a long time project coming, and I know, Mayor, you had a part to do with it, both of them, and we appreciate all those efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add the same thing, thank you, Arnold, and to Danny for, putting this request, basically defending it to the DOT and the commission. You've been very successful, with every project that you've taken. I know we also have a fighter for our community, Mr. Chairman Walter Adams, that's also there. So, we have a good team and we continue to get the funding. And as the community starts to see now, our projects are starting to get done with pressure, which that's positive, and we'll continue with the same way. So thank you, Arnold, and your staff.
Thank you as well.
Councilor Martinez?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I do want to say thank you too. I know that I fell into this project being councilman for Ward 4 as appointed back in February, and there was a lot of hard work done before I got into the scene. So, and then, of course, the state wanting to
willing to do a shovel-ready project for the entire project, not just the first phase of it, which was great. With your efforts and the efforts of those involved, Mr. Adams with the Highway Department, I want to say thank you to those people. And I look forward to that, that paving job and that infrastructure and construction, to the end. I'm really willing to see how that turns out. It'll make me happy because that's in my ward. Thanks again.
Thank you. Just some more information to that. We're about ready to go out for advertisement for bids. So we should be advertising within the week, and then we'll be opening bids soon.
Great, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to item 4, which is related to this item, request approval of Resolution 2428B to apply for the match waiver in the amount of $110,942.38, or 5% of the total project amount, which is $2,218,847.64.
Entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Martinez.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the resolution 2428B to apply for the match waiver in the amount of $110,942.38.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Martinez, second by Councilor Casey. Discussion, if not, roll call.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Martinez, a second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to business item number 5, request approval for out-of-state travel for Mayor David Romero and Lucas Marquez, Community Development Director, to attend the Pass Forward 2024 National Preservation Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana. We have our consultant, Mr. Robert Archuleta.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This conference is a National Historic Conference. I did write a grant for E. Romero. E. Romero, although it was renovated recently in the past couple of years, it does need some TLC. So I did write a grant to include the repair of, the first item is the bell structure that holds the bell in the back of the building is starting to get rust. So what we want to do is encapsulate that rust and get it structurally sound so that bell doesn't fall. The other thing was also install a solar light in the back and also a shade structure. Also, as part of that, I did put in to repair some of the stucco in the back. And probably the most important repair is the second floor window on the north side facing Bridge Street. It needs an indoor storm window. It does get a lot of noise through that office, and it does get a lot of cold air.
Hold on, Mr.
Madam Clerk, are we under item number
We're doing the out-of-state travel.
out-of-state travel? I don't know.
I'm getting to that part, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay.
And so the final item that I wrote on that grant was for 2 people to attend the national conference in New Orleans. So I did budget for $6,000. That should be $3,000 each to cover flights, hotel, mileage, per diem, Ubers, whatever they need to attend that conference. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I can also ask or add to that, Mayor and Council, that when I learned that we received these funds due to the date of the travel, this is the end of October, I'm actually not available at all. I'll be out of the country, and so I made a recommendation of having the historical knowledge from you, Mayor, as well as our Community Development Director, Lucas, to attend this. I did want to open up, though, to any of the other governing body, that if there's one of you that would like to go, it would not be covered by the grant, but we would find those funds within the city. But that's how the names came about for the travelers.
And that's what I wanted to set the record straight, is that Mr. City Manager did tell me about it. I was not involved in it whatsoever. Mr. City Manager, I think, and Lucas were going to be the ones, and then the next one was Scott, but Scott will also be out. So that's kind of how it transpired, just to be to be transparent and the understanding how my name ended up on this. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, thank you for the offer. I will decline it, and I will make a motion to request approval for out-of-state travel for Mayor Dave Romero and Lucas Martins, Community Development Director.
Motion by Pro Tem Montoya, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this, and I'm glad that the city will be participating. I want you to know that I already have your itinerary planned. So, there are a lot of wonderful sessions that are all educational, pretty much, like preserving Route 66 for the centennial anniversary, building inclusive outreach and diverse community engagement and preservation and revitalization. That's wonderful. Preserving, reclaiming vintage structures, land management of historic properties. There are all kinds of educational, sessions that you can attend and bring back some wonderful information to us so that we might be able to use. And one of my questions that I had was, where is the money coming from? And thank you, Mr. Archuleta, for your wonderful grant writing skills. You do so much for the city, and we really appreciate what you do, and you're valued and appreciated for that.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Perez-Casey, the money comes from the Department of Cultural Affairs. It's a CLG grant, a certified local government. The city of Las Vegas, along with Silver City, Taos, Santa Fe, we are a certified local government. So we do qualify for 10% of funds that are passed down from the National Historic Parks Program at the feds. So the Department of Cultural Affairs is a pass-through agency from federal funds. And just for some accountability purposes, part of the scope of work does include that the attendees have to provide a trip report and receipts for all expenditures for that trip. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I would also like to request that the mayor and Mr. Marquez provide a brief presentation on what they learned and bring us back information that we might be able to utilize for our community development. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to our next item, number 7, discussion, direction, and possible action regarding Dia de los Muertos event. I'll turn that over to you, Mayor.
Thank you. So councilors, this item I had put on the agenda, so we had, I know I got a call from Miss Martha Johnson, and I guess last year, the previous mayor had did a proclamation where basically stated that he would be taking over this event. I know when she called me, we were right at the lodger's tax deadline, so I asked her if she could kind of take the two different roads, apply for lodger's tax, and then depending on, if the city would take it over. But I know your group, Ms. Johnson, has decided that was never really, you just wanted support from the city, is my understanding. But instead of taking it off tonight, I thought it was important because, this event was successful last year, and I thought it was important that at least we give Ms. Johnson and those that are with her here tonight the opportunity to talk about the event, and we'll go from there. And I believe that the lodger's tax the Lodgers Tax Board approved it. We'll be approving that expenditure, I think, in the beginning of the first meeting in October. Am I correct?
That's what we're hopeful
Okay.
for, yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. Ms. Johnson, if you don't mind talking about the event, and then I know Councilor Casey had a question, so-
Absolutely. And I want to say thank you for having us this evening. My name is Martha Johnson. I'm one of 11 committee members, and several of our committee members are here. I'll introduce them very briefly. Last year, well, I should preface this by saying that for the last 30-some-odd years, I've been giving classroom presentations on Dia de los Muertos. And over the last 30 years, I've identified and come to know some of the teachers in both districts who have been extremely supportive. I had always wanted to have a community event, and last year I recruited these wonderful teachers, and if you want something done, you go to teachers who are resourceful and very creative. We put together an event last year to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. We thought, as a group, we would be happy with 30, 40 participants. We had over 400 people show up. It was so well received that actually the fire marshal threatened to shut us down because we were way over capacity at Sala de Madrid. This year, we're planning something bigger and better, and we appreciate the support that the city has given us in the past and hope to have that same support this year. Early on in the evening, Councilor Casey, you said something for that moment of silence about the gifts that Las Vegas has. And you mentioned our history, our culture, and our language. And it really hit a note with me because I thought exactly that is what we're trying to present, to honor, to foment with our event of Dia de los Muertos. As I said, I'm only one of 11 members of the committee, so I would like to introduce some of the members who came this evening. Rosita Griego Mesa, if you'll stand up, please. Faith Gelvin, Karina Miller, Josephine Herrera, Elba Gold, and Jackie Aragon. And these teachers and librarian represent both districts in Las Vegas. So it's an event that encompasses all the school children in this community and outlying areas, and we're hoping to make it much bigger and better. We have a great lineup of presenters this year, and I will ask Ms. Aragon. I think she gave you kind of a glimpse of some of the photos and the participation that we had last year, and I will let her take it from here.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for allowing us a few moments this evening to speak to you about this event. As Ms. Johnson said, last year was our first annual event as our committee to have this event here in Las Vegas, and it was highly successful. It was extremely successful. We were expecting maybe 50 students and parents to show up at Sala de Madrid because the students had constructed shoebox ofrendas in their bilingual classes, and we had several different student groups from the West Las Vegas Writers Club. We had Miss Sarah's Folklorico group dancing. We had several musical groups from high school students that performed at the event. And so we were expecting a handful, maybe some parents and kids, and then we heard that we may be shut down because the facility didn't allow for that number of people. And so we were hoping this year to expand on that, and we thought, you know, there's no better support than from our city council and governing body to help us expand this event. We, like Ms. Johnson said, we are waiting for more details from the Lodgers Tax Board. There were a few points of clarification that needed to be made. I do want to also thank the Community Development Department because they've been very helpful in answering questions and helping to guide us through the process to get this event underway this year. So, I really do think we can expand this. Santa Fe and Albuquerque both have similar events, and they pull in thousands of people every year. And our community has to travel to these events. If we have an event here in Las Vegas, and our community can stay at home and enjoy the company of local community members. So, we're open to discussion and questions as to what you see could be possible support or guidance from city, but we are hopeful that this event will be bigger and better than it was last year.
Thank you. Councilor Casey?
Thank you. I have been fortunate enough to attend an educational demonstration by Mrs. Johnson, and todavía tengo mi calavera de azúcar.
Qué bueno.
I still have my sugar skull that I made. And so it's kind of dusty, but I have it.
I'd like to mention that our chief of police participated in a workshop at Family Partnership probably, 18, 20 years ago, 15, something like that. He was one of my students, yes.
I think we're aging ourselves. I just wanted to ask, how much money are you requesting from the lodger's tax?
I went before the Lodgers Tax Committee yesterday and requested $4,800. The bulk of the request was for I think they're a phenomenal group from Mexico and Honduras. They live in Santa Fe and Albuquerque, and it's a group called Noelia y sus Santos. I heard them in Santa Fe at a Dia de los Muertos presentation, and they cost $3,000. The rest is for promotion, flyers, whatever other expenses. Last year, I might mention that this committee financed everything. We bought our own decorations, we bought our own everything.
Wonderful. I think this is a wonderful event, and it is part of our culture, and we share culture, language, history, familia, and so I'm very pleased that you have requested this money, and I hope that you get it so that we can move forward. And I think it's a wonderful community event. It's educational, it's fun, and I think that it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you all for your support. We hope to see you there. It'll be Saturday, November 2nd. We're going to have a bigger and longer parade. You are more than welcome to dress up and join us. We'll be starting at Carnegie Library Park and ending up at the Plaza Gazebo. And most of our presentations will be at the gazebo in the plaza, and we'll also have use of the plaza ballroom for the display of ofrendas.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. Councilors?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and you're dressed very appropriately for the event.
I changed, special for tonight. And I did want to tell you, too, we didn't come to ask for water or a raise or anything, so thank you for your support.
I just want to say, thanks for the event. I'm a little bit, I'm not sure, I guess I've heard that.
Maybe you guys wanted to give it up to the city, and maybe you didn't. I don't know where that's at. But
Just to clarify, that's not on the table anymore. I know those two different avenues based off of what they were wanting. And I know the previous mayor had made commitment as we'll take it over. To me, I think we have, you have a great committee. If a committee is willing to put in the legwork and not take upon the resources of the city, I think it's great. We need to involve more community into events as we move forward. So that's off the table completely. So
well, that release that puts a release on my pressure because I think you guys have done a good job. I think you'll continue to do a good job. I think it could go as big as the Zorba audience, 60,000 someday. You never know because it has been grown every year. And people like it, and people are falling into the historical part of it. They're learning more of it because you're making it an educational one. And just understand that lodger's tax is not probably the only funding available. Lodger's tax is going to be for promoting from with 60 miles out. So it's not for T-shirts, it's not for pamphlets, it's not for stuff like that. It's more for billboards or with radio ads and stuff like that, TV ads and so forth. I'm glad that finally, I've requested before that we bring bands from Mexico to share with our constituents here in Las Vegas for the 4th. And I'm glad that you're bringing a band of such here. We've had some dancers before for the 4th of July contest, beauty queen contests, and that had turned out really well too. So I'm glad that you're bringing back the history and continue to work at it. And we have other fundings available for other sources too. No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I think to answer Mayor's, and also Councilman Montoya's question about city support, what we were hoping is because we know last year we still, even without it being a city event, we still could not have done it without city commitment and employees. The PD and Community Development Department helped us to secure the roadways for the parade, and we couldn't have possibly done it without Mr. Grego's help and direction of the parade. So I think when we were speaking in terms of a city event, we're hoping for the same kind of support, and also in advertisement, making sure that our community knows what the event is and increasing that attendance this year.
Mr. Mayor, on that note, your application to the lodging tax should include those things and a breakdown on those things, because we do get reimbursed by lodging tax, and we don't have to use our general fund budget for the department budgets for those kind of services. So if you can keep a track of how many people visit that night or those events, somehow figure it out. And that's all valuable information for when you go ask for lodging tax monies.
And I tell you, for it being on a Thursday evening, a school day last year, when we hit Douglas Avenue, and to see the families and the kids enjoying and smiling, it was really special.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Again, that's just discussion. There's no action needed. I'm pretty sure, Mr. Marcus, the application, I mean, even for the event application, that's all done. So the support from the city and commitment, I think you heard it here, we all support it, and everything just, we'll go through that through Lucas. Thank you. And thank you to all those that are volunteering and putting time and effort into this. I'm
Last thing
excited
I
for
wanted
this
to
year.
say, if I may, I always tell students when we do the presentation, it is the ultimate family reunion, because we bring those loved ones back to our hearts and our memories. So I think it's extremely special. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next item on the agenda is item number 8, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $3,505.63 to the Las Vegas Citizens Committee for Historic Preservation to be used for their holiday home tour event. We have our Community Development Director, Mr. Marquez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I come before you with the application for, let me pull out my notes here. For the Citizens Committee for Historic Preservation, this application was actually already approved in February. However, we did have the flooding incident, so they had to cancel their places with the past tour. So when they reached out to us, they wanted to see how they can do it. Since both the places with the past and the holiday home tour were both on the same application, we felt it better to go ahead and dismiss that application altogether and have them reapply with just the holiday home tour by itself. So they went ahead and did that, and we come before you guys to see if we could get the ratification from the recommendation from the board, Lodgers Tax Board.
I'll entertain a motion to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $3,505.63 to the Las Vegas Citizens Committee for Historic Preservation for the holiday home tour event.
A motion by Councilor Casey, second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion.
Mr. City Manager, what's your recommendation on this?
So Mayor Pro Tem, I have reviewed this application. I've gone through the budgeted items. They're itemized, which I'm happy to see that. Each of the requested amounts are acceptable for the lodger's tax. I did also look, though, at the CDC broadcasting station. One of the committee members, I believe, owns that station, and that individual did abstain from the voting. So as far as I'm concerned, it passes the guidelines that I was looking for.
Okay. So, the other ones are
Santa Fe, New Mexican, and Northgate Printing.
Yes, sir. And then also there's a line item for designing posters in the brochure.
And again, I thank the CCHP because people do come from out of town. Mr. Quintana. People do come from out of town and make arrangements and stay overnight for these tours. I mean, I've attended a couple of tours in the past. I mean, the last 2 years I wasn't able to because of the COVID and pandemic and all that stuff. But, how many homes are you up to now?
Right now, for this event, we usually do 5 to 6 because a lot of people are going through the homes and it's easier to manage that amount. Last year, we had 6 homes, and with that, 80% of the people traveled from Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and we had some people from Colorado. So we had a lot of people that like to come back to this. We didn't have it for several years, and that was the reason we had 100 tickets sold. But we're forecasting 150 because it's about repeating and bringing back people to an event. And when you stop, it's sort of, you have to start almost all over.
And how much are those tickets?
They're $15 a ticket, and that allows them to tour 5 to 6 homes. And it's just a fun event because they walk and look at home, what they do, and they also learn about the history of that home.
Yeah. And what do you do with that money?
So that money goes to our operational type of funding, but it also goes to, we do a lot of research, like movies will call us and ask us about historical figures in Las Vegas, and we'll give them a rundown on that historical figure. So we do a lot of research for families too, so we spend a lot of money doing research and stuff like that for people that call and ask for information, historical information of our community. We just recently had an architect from the Catholic Church that wanted to know about pictures of a building that was on the plaza, and we had to provide and do research and find pictures to see if we found some without the stucco on one of the buildings to see if it was adobe, and we were able to do that for that individual.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Quintana, or did you?
I do want to have one thing. We're also partners with Cornerstones. You were just mentioning the having a state heritage preservation conference here next year in October. I just want, that's another thing that we're working on and we spend time on, and that'll be here in Las Vegas. And I just wanted to mention that because of the previous presentation on restoring your historical buildings. We're going to have that as sponsored here in Las Vegas.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $28,461.90 to Main Street, de Las Vegas, for the purchase of additional benches and trash cans to be placed within the city. Mr. Marquez.
Mayor, Council, again, at this meeting, this was discussed by Main Street in regards to some new benches and trash cans that will be placed throughout the city. There was some discussion of the placement of these trash cans and benches. We have to make sure that there's nothing going to be within our historical districts, and if it would be, we'd have to go to our design and review board to make sure we get permission to place those benches and trash cans in the area. The amount requested was $28,461.90, and that was the amount recommended by the board, sir.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for $28,461.90 for the purchase of benches and trash cans.
A motion by Counselor Casey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, so did this go before P&Z or the DRB?
Mayor Pro Tem, I am not certain that that actually went for a design review board.
No, Mayor, Council, it hasn't gone before anything yet, but we don't know where they're going to put the benches yet, so we still have to discuss that and see if they're going to be within those areas. If it does come to a point where it's in front of a historical area or in a historical area, of course, it'll go to DRB.
I think it should go before them, before us, because, I mean, the historical preservation area is all through there in different sections. And so what committee came up with this request?
This is Main Street de Las Vegas, sir.
Main Street came up with the designated areas?
Well, this is their application, and they were giving ideas of areas that they wanted to put them in. It's like I said, in the discussion in that meeting, it was still said that we still have to sit down and discuss where we'd put them.
Okay, now this, how does this comply with the ordinance?
We went off of,
Because-
I'm sorry.
Let me finish asking the question. On the ordinance, it reads that every property owner is responsible for the frontage of their property, whether it's residential or business or commercial. And they're supposed to maintain it and keep it clean from snow, ice, debris, and stuff like that for liability purposes. So where I'm going is, once these benches or trash cans are installed, who's going to maintain them and who's going to replace them? And is that going to be a responsibility of the owner from now on, or what?
Mayor, Council, I don't believe it would be much different than any of the other ornamental trash cans that we have in front of the businesses now. Everybody knows that they're responsible for their property up to the back of the curbway. What I see happening is there's gonna be a place to place them. I would assume they'd be reaching out to the city of Las Vegas to assist in that. After they're placed, I don't know if the responsibility would fall on the city of Las Vegas to maintain them when they're broken or anything like that, or if, of course, it would be the owner of the storefront that would be responsible for the upkeep of the area.
And what about the homeless? Are they going to be hanging around those benches in those areas? I don't know. I mean,
I can't answer that, sir.
you know.
I can answer. I'm Cindy Collins, and I'm under contract with Main Street, and this is an application from Main Street that came with the detailed map of the locations. These are benches and trash cans that look identical to the ones that are already downtown, that are paid for by the public. And it's an appropriate use of lodgers tax funds to pay for facilities that are used by tourists. So we need 10 more benches to match the existing benches and 4 more trash cans. They will be owned by the city of Las Vegas and maintained by the city, just as staff of city cleans the trash cans every week. So it's just adding more for our downtown.
Yeah. So you haven't, Mr. Lucas, you haven't reviewed the locations and if they're a safety hazard or not in those areas? Because I see around the plaza, the last week I've seen business owners put tables and chairs outside. And they're in front of windows and in front of doors. And then there's bicycles in front of there too. So I'm just asking, what's the liability, and have you reviewed that? See if they're not going to be located in a bad area?
Mayor, Council, I can't review anything until you guys approve it. Once you guys approve it, we could go over the locations that we're gonna place it, whether it's gonna be towards the front of the curb or the back of the curb. I don't know all that information, sir. The only way I can look at that and review anything is if you guys go ahead and ratify the recommendation. Again, the Lodgers Tax Board is just a recommending board, and that's up to you guys to decide if you guys wanna go through with it or not. Once you guys decide, then I could go ahead and do my part and figure out where we're gonna be, sir. Again, if it's in the Design and Review Board area, then we'll go to that committee and see if they're gonna allow those benches to be placed there.
Okay.
And if I could also add to that, it's also based off of reimbursement with lodgers tax, so, you know, they would have to submit for reimbursement, but I'm sure all that, all the prior authorizations that need to go to legal or to DRB, at this point right now, it's this amount of money, but there's still other processes that have to take place. And I'm sure that if it doesn't fall within guidelines legally, then I'm sure that, I would hope that it gets stopped at that point. So, Councilor Casey?
Thank you. I think this is a wonderful thing. My only disappointment is, I really, really like the benches that are in the breezeway on Bridge Street. I think those are so pretty. And they are an adequate height so that someone who has difficulty sitting on a low bench or standing from a low bench won't on those. They're perfect. They're really a nice height so that anybody can sit there, stand easily, and maneuver. These others that are pictured here are much lower than the ones that are in the breezeway. And I don't know if the height of the bench can be, increased so that they're at least 24 inches or so. The seat is 24 inches off of the ground so that people who have a handicap or a broken leg or an injured hip or whatever can get up from there more easily than a lower bench. But I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think that it's good for tourism. People that are walking through Las Vegas, doing a walking tour of the art galleries or whatever, downtown, if they want to have a place to sit. I think this would be a wonderful addition for Las Vegas. So thank you for bringing that up. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Martinez.
Mr. Marquez, on this information that you gave us here, the very last page has several locations of, I guess they're possibilities, is that right?
Yes.
They're not concrete possibilities, they're just possibilities that, where they would be placed. And again, I think the most important part is that, that they're placed in an area where city approves, of course. So, I mean, this is just possible.
It's labeled proposed.
Proposed, yeah.
Top, yes, sir.
So I just, I wanted to be clear on that. For myself, anything to beautify our community is good. We can't control all of the things that happen and, in the parks and stuff like that. Any kind of a trash can or receptacle is better than seeing trash on the ground, of course. So, I'm in support of this, and I want to see that we move on it.
Mr. City Manager, did you have anything to add on that?
No, sir.
Mr. Attorney, based off of the concerns as far as, the DRB and some of these, is it fair to approve this tonight based off of some of those requirements or steps that must take place? Is that fair enough?
I think it's fair just based off the way the agenda is worded. Here, it's just approving the purchase of those benches. It's not necessarily approving the location and/or setting of those benches. So based off the way that the agenda is worded, I think it's safe to approve for the purchase of the additional benches.
And again, Mr. Lucas, it was approved by the board, Lodgers Tax Board?
Yeah, Mayor, the board did recommend approval.
Okay. With that, roll call?
Counselor Casey? Yes. Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to our next item, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $2,500 to Chajama Ensemble LLC to be used with their World Dance Music Festival event. Mr. Marcus.
Mayor, Council, again, on this application in particular, there's the itemized area does show a lot more than what she was requesting. I got to make note that she was not requesting to pay any type of bands. So what she was requesting was flyers and posters that she could get out.
That's right. Hi.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that the board understands that the $2,500 that if approved from the recommendation, that would be solely for publicizing, advertising, and promoting the event.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the recommendation for funding in the amount of $2,500 to the Tarjama Ensemble LLC to be used in their World Dance Music Festival event.
Motion by Counselor Casey. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, do you know where the $500 is going to be spent on radio ads in Albuquerque?
No, sir, I do not know. I will bring up that due to the one committee member on Lodgers Tax, I think it's really important that we annotate how we select the radio stations, that we keep that fair. I just think that that's important. And so I do not know the stations themselves.
And Mr. Mayor, I don't want to have an audit finding down the road. And what I'm alluding to is that we have some members on the Lodgers Tax that own a private business,
And if we're channeling advertised money to those businesses, that's wrong. Unless that individual withdraws from any discussion on such items. Because they will come back to hunt us as audit items on our yearly audit reports. I would say a lot of this advertisements gotta be done locally and in Albuquerque. I mean, there's really nowhere else. But the thing is, I would suggest that if that's the case, that people would abstain from voting and away from the conversation. And correct me, Mr. Attorney, if I'm wrong. But if anyone, mayor and council, or any member of any committee is going to benefit from this lodger's tax with any organization, they need to acknowledge and they need to stay away from it.
I think, Counselor, Mr. Mayor, I think that would be correct. I think it needs to be stated on the record that there is a potential financial interest, and then an abstention and a withdrawal from the conversation, sure. And I would recommend that not only for lodger's tax funding, any funding that is coming from the municipality to a member of the governing body or a member of any of the committees, definitely need to abide by that withdrawal, mention it on the record, and then abstaining from the vote, for sure.
Mayor, Council, real quick, as part of our ordinance, it is required for us to have 2 lodgers, 2 business people, and we have 3 at large. The state requires only 1 at large, just a regular, everyday citizen. Anytime that I've seen that since I've been here and started having these lodgers tax meetings once again, every time there is some kind of interest, it has been stated, and they have abstained. I just want to make sure I put that on the record. I haven't seen anybody vote for themselves on that type of topic.
And also, Mr. Attorney, I had one question. I know if the city's requesting this, and we put where the advertising is, there's a little more, as the city manager mentioned, make sure the fairness, right, and the abstaining. But when we have an organization at that point that they just put in general advertising, that's basically up to the person that's doing the application, or the group that's doing the application, and not to where the city's getting involved in saying you have to now advertise, because we don't know where they're going to advertise, right? We're hoping that they follow the guidelines in general, and hopefully that the board, the Lodgers Tax Board, is asking those questions, but we can't specifically tell them here in this where to spend their money. Am I correct? If it's an other entity, and in other words, like we have here right now.
Right, so I think basically, we can't essentially funnel the money somewhere is what you're saying. We can't direct them to advertise at one place over another. We would be essentially picking one business over another. I also think, however, there is a little bit of a point to be made that, we got to be careful even on the committees to make sure that we're still not voting on those type of things and making sure it's clear on the record. So while I would prefer it to be specific, in this case, it might be better to be a little vague so we can avoid the appearance of impropriety or the appearance that we're directing business to one business over another. So I think you're right in saying that essentially we're not violating anything by keeping it vague, if that's what you're trying to get to.
So I guess my question, and maybe I wasn't clear, is that if we have an organization an entity separate of the city of Las Vegas, we can't tell them you need to spend your advertising money, let's say here in the city of Las Vegas. We can't do that, right? If they just put in general advertising and put a fee, well, at the end, they're gonna have to, when they put in for their reimbursement, they're gonna have to show that they spent it for that. But we can't go and say, hey, you need to spend here in Las Vegas. Am I correct?
Mayor,
I think I explained that right.
No, you did, and I think, I want to go ahead and give you a very legal answer here, probably depends, right? The reason why I mentioned that, sir, is because it still is, you still are the caretakers of the money of the city. And so if you are going to give that money, you may be able to place some type of restriction on it, is the best way I can put that. In this scenario, I would probably venture to say it's not in the best interest of the city to place a restriction. So there are, I think, instances where the city could place restrictions on the money that they're, giving. And there are instances where you probably can't and shouldn't place those restrictions. So I think it's a little bit both sides.
And, I think that Lodgers Tax Committee needs to define this area, gray area, because they have the authority to ask any organization, where are you going to advertise that? What stations are you planning on using? Colorado stations, Texas, Albuquerque? I think they have that obligation to ask in behalf of Lodgers Tax to see if they're advertising beyond the 60 miles that they're required to. And then to the point of the mayor, if we approve this monies to different organizations and they don't comply with the Lodgers Tax, then when they send the bill, submit the bill to the city might not pay for some of that stuff. If you misused it for candy or you misused it for a radio station here in town that doesn't qualify, or for different areas, the city has that obligation to refuse. They're not going to go to jail just because somebody decided to use the money otherwise. So I think that on this case, on this one, the maker of the motion, does have a radio station, and I'm going to say it. And this $500 are going to be radio advertisements in Albuquerque. Now, I don't know what station. I don't know if it's his station or not. But to me, I think this individual has to step away from the conversation period if he wants a piece of the pie. Because otherwise, what I see is that we're going to be channeling monies, and that's not what we're here for. So I see it as an issue, and I don't know what your recommendation, Mr. City Manager, is on this one. I like the program. I like what they're doing. I understand where they're coming from. I understand they bring people, they have the facility and all that. But I don't know if that's a conflict of interest there or not. And I just want to caution this mayor and council that in the future and our department that people have got to abstain, or the chair has to not recognize that motion on some stuff that's not on the agenda, on the agenda that goes before Lodgers Tax, because the committee is making recommendations to the people that are coming with a request, and that shouldn't be happening either. The Lodgers Tax Committee is not there to make recommendations or put any of their input or add anything more than what the presenter is asking for. And that's what's happening here in some of these requests. I think that we should have $1,000 more for advertisement. Well, that's not up to them. It's up to the requester to request for that. So I think we need to clear the air on this one, and I don't know, again, Mr. City Manager, what you recommend on this.
Thank you. Councilor Casey, you had, and then Councilman Martinez after.
I just have a simple question. Is the Old Town Mission Community Center big enough for this event?
So this is thank you, first of all, thank you. I'm Ina Meg York, and thank you for having me here. So I've produced 8 events at this venue, and the capacity is about 125 for the whole venue. And we've had students from UWC, from Highlands, from West, community members of all ages. This is not a festival. I mislabeled it. It's really a world music weekend that's going to have some classes, and then it'll have a couple of dance parties. And I've already been speaking with Mr. Griego about opening up one of the nights to a public venue that's bigger, because possibly it could take over, Music from Angel Fire status eventually. I am a classically trained musician with a music degree and a lot of connections in the classical music and the world music world. And I also didn't understand when I filled out this application, because half of my band is from other cities. I have a Hindustani musician that might come from Broomfield, Colorado. I have some musicians coming from Santa Fe, and I have musicians coming from Albuquerque. And so they're actually going to pull in their followers. But yes, it is a small kind of boutique event. And so I'm a little concerned that it'll be packed. And so that is a concern. And going forward, I really would appreciate any guidance that anybody wants to give me, because I am new in town.
I was a little concerned when I read some of the amounts of people that have participated before, and I love the Old Town Mission Center, and I've been to various events and meetings there, but it is rather small. I thought for a music festival, I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to be all packed in there.
Yeah,
So,
festival's too strong a word. Probably concert series or something a little more esoteric would be a better labeling of this series of events.
Okay.
I'm going to have 5 events that weekend. So there'll be 2 90-minute free world music concerts, and then a sliding scale series of concerts on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon will be a combined community member and professional musician concert.
Oh, nice.
But you are right, it is a small venue. I personally want to offer something that's unamplified, no smoking, no drinking, wonderful dance floor that's contained, that's, again, unamplified, and that's why I want to keep it small. But I do think people might get excited about it, especially if you do grant me this money and I do a big publicity push. So it's possible it might exceed capacity. And so I'm on tenterhooks about that. I also did get liability insurance. Here's my certificate right here. But again, I've been producing these small events at, for example, the Mercury Cafe in Denver for 25 years, or the Outpost Performance Space. That's the experience that I'm emulating, is these small listening room events. Not trying to exclude anybody, but, these are kind of boutique events, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. And Councilman Martinez?
No, I just wanted to ask the question if the individual abstained, from the,
I don't know what we're talking about.
yeah, it's,
Like at all.
I mean, I understand what's being said. I just, if there's, I guess that, is that true? Did that person abstain from the vote
Mayor,
on this?
Council, I got to make point that on that first application, you saw where it said SDC Broadcasting, and that member did abstain. This doesn't say anything about SDC Broadcasting. We're assuming that because it's a radio station in Albuquerque, that, it could possibly be that radio station. We don't know what radio station she was actually meaning. Maybe she could clarify what radio station she was meaning, and that might assist us in that. But no, he didn't abstain from this thing, because again, it didn't say SDC Broadcasting.
'Cause there's 2 radio stations listed on this, so that's why I was asking that.
Of course I do.
Yeah, this is an education for me, and I appreciate everyone's time on this issue because I'm new in town. So I was probably, if I were going to even pursue the radio segment, I was probably going to do KUNM and KHFM, the classical music station, and the student station. That makes the most sense to me because that's the demographic that might be interested. Also, if we can table the radio thing just for a second, my main agenda is to get a whole bunch of these because I'm a soloist at 2 large folk events coming up. I'm a soloist at the Albuquerque Folk Festival at the Hispanic Cultural Center at the end of September, and there's 4,000 people that go to that event. So I'd like to have a bunch of these, which I'm going to have printed at Northgate. So maybe I could just not do radio if it's a problem, because I don't want to offend anybody.
No, and I think that's exactly where I was trying to get at, is when we have other entities that, we can't assume the worst in people, right? Questions should be asked just like it was asked here tonight. We can't assume the worst. We can't assume that movidas are happening, behind the closed doors. We got to be open and transparent. The question should be asked, and that's how come I asked that question. Like, we can't get into the everyday business of where are you going to advertise? Oh, you can't advertise there. You have to advertise here. When it's a city function, yes, when it's a city event, yes, we should. But we shouldn't be getting into the every day of what you're going to be doing and give direction that way. That's kind of where I was headed at. I think now she cleared up, what it was. You shouldn't change. I apologize that you're sitting there now and, there was, some assumptions and that shouldn't be. I think just moving forward, maybe Mr. Lucas, maybe the commission can maybe require where they're looking at, and that might clear things up before we get to this point.
The way that it's going to be cleared up, sir, Mayor and Council, is it was left by the wayside before that the people that came forward with applications didn't have to come back and present afterwards. Every motion that was made to recommend also carried a motion of them having to come back after their event and present to the Design and Review Board of what they did with their money that they requested. And we can bring that to you guys and let you guys know as well. If there was anything that may have been, again, it was open-ended. It doesn't say a specific radio station. It just says radio advertisement. So if it would have come back that way, then yes, at that time, we could go ahead and say we can't pay for that because everybody knows it has to be a 65-mile radius that they have to reach out to and advertise for. Again, it could be pamphlets, it could be posters, it could be radio advertisement, as long as you're promoting the event and bringing people to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. Marquez. Pro Tem Montoya.
And I'm not making any assumptions. I saw that there was advertising done in Albuquerque. It don't matter to me where. I need to bring the point up regardless, because on the minutes that you sent out, it says Member Martinez made and approved the funding for the amount of the $2,500, and he voted for it. So, he voted for a radio ad, and he's in radio business. So to me, I think he should abstain from voting on any radio advertisement, period, whether it's this station or not. The other point I have here is, does Mr. City Manager, does a lodger's tax allow to pay for refreshments?
Yes, sir.
And how about custodians? $20 hours of labor, $100.
Yes, sir.
That one it does?
Yes,
But not refreshments?
that's correct.
Okay, and so they approved it either way.
And Mr. Pro Tem Montoya, I know in speaking with the city manager from here on out, I think we're going to start having finance and also maybe an attorney at these committee meetings, specifically lodger's tax, just for the reason that, some of these questions are maybe asked or, it doesn't put us into, these questions here, which they're valid questions, but I think, this is a unique situation where, it was, I'm pretty sure the individual you're speaking of, been involved before, and I don't think he would put himself in that predicament. But with that, I'll,
Can I make
Mr. Mayor.
just a quick?
Okay. I want to get the bull from the horns at the beginning. And I know we have a new lodger's tax committee, and they want to move forward, and they want to do a lot of events. So do I. I want economic development, and I want things happening every weekend and this and the other. But we got to do it right. If we can't pay for candy, if we can't pay for refreshments, if we can't pay for this, well, then let's get it straight. If we can't get involved in advertisements for our own business or anything like that, let's get it straight off the top. So these things can come through us a lot cleaner. And I'll add this to it. On some of these applications, I don't know who filled them out or what, not this one, but others, they're pretty generic. I don't even know how lodger's tax even accepted them. But I know that I did review lodger's tax of the 27th of last month. And, they do need a little bit of help, Mr. Mayor. They need a little bit of direction as to what the role is and the responsibility of the chair, and what the chair can and cannot accept. Because, I don't know, Mr. Marquez, how you felt about that meeting, but I thought it was a little bit lost, a little bit chaos, and I think that a more clear direction needs to be given.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Not-
Mr.
nothing to do
Montgomery,
with
did you want to say something, or Councilor Casey?
I do just, and it's not about the budget breakdown, but after having gone through these applications myself, it's the first time that I've really looked at detail because we had so many coming into this meeting tonight. I have reached out to community development to provide more assistance when the applications are put together and that we have consistency with the applications. And for the city standards, for the city ones submitted, we cannot have these type of errors. And so we've discussed that already.
Thank you, Tim. Councilor Casey?
I just wanted to kind of coattail on what Councilor Montoya has said. You have to keep in mind that during those meetings, they can get kind of, chaotic, as was mentioned. But the chair does not have a vote. And it's my understanding that at some of the meetings, the chair will recommend to the members that this is not the way to go, that it can't be done, that something can't be done. But the rest of the members override the chair's, recommendations. And so I believe that maybe some educational training for the members of the Lodgers Tax Board is necessary so that they know that, they have a good chair who has been there in that position for a long time. The chair knows what can and cannot be done. And if he makes a recommendation to the members of the board saying, this is not appropriate, we can't do this, it's against the anti-donation clause, or it's whatever it happens to be, so-and-so, you need to recuse yourself from voting, then they should listen to him. They need to respect his knowledge and his desire to serve in a manner that is ethical and legal. And I believe that he is the type of person that can do that adequately, more than adequately. And I think that the members of the board itself need to recognize that and start paying closer attention to what the chair is trying to tell them without overstepping his bounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $2,500 to the City of Las Vegas to be used with the 3-on-3 Hoops Tournament event. Mr. Marcus.
Mayor, Council, this is an event that the City of Las Vegas wants to kind of bring in new. It's going to be involving a 3-on-3 hoops tournament, trying to make it a 2-day event. And we want to try to see if we can bring a little bit of activity to the Douglas Street area. So we went to the Lodgers Tax Board to see if they would assist us in advertising this. And we requested $2,500 and we were awarded $2,500. Well, recommended approval for $2,500.
Let me entertain a motion on this item first. Do I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion that we approve it, but I do
Yeah.
have questions that I have to ask.
And moving
Just
forward,
for
just
discussion
because we make the
purposes.
motion and the second doesn't mean you have to vote for it, just so we proceed with the
Right.
discussion. A motion by Counselor Casey. I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion.
I have a
Counselor
question.
Casey.
I'm sorry, but this is so poorly done. It says, please give the exact amount of funding you are requesting. It says $25,000. And then that's scratched out and 2,500 is written on the side. And then the breakdown of the cost is empty. There's nothing there except radio, social media, TV, overtime. No cost listed, no quantity, no total, nothing. And then on the next to the last page, again, it asks for another $25,000. So, if this is the type of, applications that are coming before the Lodgers Tax Board, this should have never even gone before the board. It's totally inadequate, it's poorly done, it doesn't have the information that is required, and I don't even know why it's on this list.
I think they moved forward on it really quickly on it. I agree with you. The setup wasn't right in the front. The $25,000 was a typo, or they should have never put $25,000. We did catch it. That's how come there's a little scratch off. I put 2,500 on there at the meeting when they presented it. And that's what was discussed, was for the 2,500.
Mr. Mayor.
It's embarrassing, that's all I can say.
I gotta agree, and again, we gotta remember that 90% of the events that are being put on are ran by the city of Las Vegas. There was a time when private vendors would come up to us and put these applications in. We should be down to just 1 or 2 events, and we would be able to concentrate on those more. It's no excuse. He wrote it up poorly, and it's my job to present it as is.
If we are going to be sponsoring these events, and the city is responsible for putting together the application for money, they should at least follow the rules that we expect everybody else that requests money to follow the rules and do it correctly. If they're not going to bother to do this, then they should not even be considered. I'm sorry, that's how I feel, and I don't agree with the way the present, this was presented. It's a shoddy job, and I would not have even put it or requested to put it on the agenda if I had that authority to do it. Thank you.
And just again, the motion and the second were basically for discussion. As we take roll call, you are afforded the opportunity to vote no. Just Councilman
Yeah, or abstain. Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and Councilor Casey hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Is there's no consistency. I don't know is the city doing this event?
Yeah, I believe Chuck Gregg will put in the application.
This is a city
event?
submitted application.
And when is this event? Because it just has August 31st. I don't know what year.
Well, he was kind of shooting for November, the end of October, and around November time, to see if we had time to do it.
Which year?
This year, sir.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Okay, because it says this event is new, and the event starts on August 31st, and it ends in September of the 2nd. But
yeah,
we don't know what year it started or what year it finished.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's a long-term haul or a 2-day event. And again, 25,000 is a lot of money. And again, radio, media, TV, this is gonna be on TV?
That's what he was trying to get social, well, yeah, we have money for the lodger's tax to put on TV. If he wants to put it on TV, sir, he'll put it on TV.
Okay. But we don't have an amount, so we don't have any amounts on anything.
They don't.
So we have a lot of money, yeah, but how do we know if this is gonna be spent wisely? I mean.
Again, I'm sorry. Again, sir, every motion that was made to approve also came back with the motion of how to come back and present on how the event went.
What, that's after the fact?
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, my vote will reflect my answer. Thank you.
Roll call.
Counselor Montoya?
No.
Counselor Casey?
No.
Counselor Martinez?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
The thing is.
Let's move to the next item.
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment, just a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure all three of us support this event wholeheartedly, but the way it's done and the process and how it's not being followed, I mean, this is the end result that you get. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item number 12, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $28,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used with the highway billboard for the 2024-2025 year. Mr. Marquez.
Mayor, Council, this was brought, actually, the billboards belong to Las Vegas Business Alliance or whatever, Las Vegas First Business Alliance. It was given over again, another thing given over to the City of Las Vegas during one of their meetings. They recommended after Mr. I believe one of their main persons that used to work the billboards passed away. So the city took it, and we're looking to just pretty much the same amounts they were asking for every year. It was 28,000. There's billboards on I-25, I-40. We're looking at electronic billboards in Albuquerque, and also checking to see if we can put a loop of the city of Las Vegas within the Albuquerque airport.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Pro Tem Montoya.
make a motion to not approve the Logistics Board recommendation for event funding for billboards for 24-25 in the amount of $28,000.
A motion by Pro Tem Montoya, a second by Councilor Casey. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Casey?
Go ahead.
This is another one, I mean, when it says billboards on I-25, there's hundreds of miles of I-25. Where on I-25 are those billboards going to be? What are the billboards going to say? This is, estimated numbers of, 10,000 people are going to see these billboards. Well, I would like to know where they are, and I'm sorry, but John Goodwin, may he rest in peace, used to do this presentation, and he always had the exact amount for each billboard, the exact location of that billboard, and what that billboard was going to look like, and what it was going to say, the message that it was going to relay to travelers on I-25. This is a terrible disappointment to me, because those billboards are important, and I'm appalled at the poor presentation of this. It was, just done, I mean, I've seen high school kids that can do better work than this, I'm sorry. It's terrible, and I cannot support it as this is. If this can be redone adequately with the information that's necessary and must be in these applications, then maybe I'll change my mind, but right now, I cannot support this kind of paperwork, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Roll call?
Counselor Casey?
No.
Counselor Martinez?
Wait, hold, just
Well,
one second. The motion was,
Was to
Not-
not approve.
not
So
approve.
my-
okay, just to
then
clarify.
it's
Sorry
yes.
about that.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, a second by Counselor Casey to not approve this item. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 13, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $10,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used for promotion during the Albuquerque Balloon Fiestas. Mr. Marquez.
Mayor, Council, this was brought forward again for more promotional items to be taken to the Balloon Fiesta happening October 4th, I believe, through the 13th of this year.
Mayor,
Pro Tem Montoya.
I make a motion to request approval of Logistics funding for the Balloon Fiesta in the amount of $10,000.
Motion by Pro Tem Montoya, second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Casey?
What are the 250-inch TVs with stands for?
Those will be, there's going to be a 60 or 30-second loop of activities that go on here in Las Vegas, and they'll be inside the tent running those ads continuously.
Wanted to clarify that.
Yes, ma'am.
This isn't exactly great, but at least it's better than the others. Okay.
Any discussion? If not, roll call?
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $10,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used for the electric light parade. Mr. Marquez.
Mayor, Council. Mayor, Council, this one's presented as well. 10,000 was asked for, and 10,000 is recommended.
In order. Madam Casey, are we on item number 15?
Yes, business item number 14 was tabled until our next regular meeting.
Okay, my bad. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that, Lucas.
Sir, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mayor Council, this item again was brought to lodger's tax. This is for the electric light parade that happens here in Las Vegas. We're trying to go ahead and expand it more, get more involvement. We had a pretty good turnout last year, and we're trying to just expand on that. So we requested to go ahead and get some advertisement going, marketing and promoting.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we not approve this until it is presented in a manner that lists costs for employee overtime, radio, TV, press, and social media, and that it is done in a more professional manner than this.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Casey, second by Councilman Martinez. Discussion, if not, roll call.
Mr. Mayor. You know, it hurts to say that here we are trying to have events, but we don't have our act together. I mean, this is hurting our community and this is hurting our kids. I mean, we ought to send lodger's tax a list of things that can be done and cannot be done. And they can go off that list and make that a Christmas list for them. Because, you know, even your finance director says you can't buy candy and give away to, it's a conflict of interest. I mean, you can't buy an engine, you can't buy a car and give it away. You know, those are really stuff that we need to stay away from. And again, it was poorly written, but at the end of the day, I mean, I hope we make it back on time to the agenda so that we can have something for our kids, because it is a wonderful event, and our kids deserve a good event. Other communities have good events that are like this one, and ours has grown, and there's a demand for it. But, I mean, we need to do a better job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Montoya? This is to not approve.
Yes.
Councilor Casey?
Yes.
Councilor Martinez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries to not approve. Moving on to item number 16, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $50,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used for Luces en el Rio. Mr. Marquez?
Again, this one was written up the same way. They brought it through and they recommend approval for 50,000. This one can be defended a little bit more. Decorations, they don't know how much they're gonna be how much they're gonna cost because we don't know what you guys are gonna want yet. So that's something that can be discussed. Again, they're just a recommending board. The council has every right to do what they want to do.
This time I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Question?
Mr. City Manager, on this item, is there enough time to bring it back with a plan? With a schedule as to what's going to happen and what's money going to be spent on, and a little bit more description as to, because right now, you know what, this is a blank check. I mean, employee overtime, radio, TV, press, social media, and there's nothing attached to it. They don't have how many commercials, how much it's going to cost. I mean, I don't quite get it. I really don't. I mean, what's the money going to be used on? Do you know?
No, I can't answer how the money would be used, sir, other than it's listing cameras.
And this is something that we just put in pedestals down the Gainas River for this event. We spent some money. And last year, it was a successful event, Mr. Mayor, and people want it back. But I don't know. I'm sorry, I confused the Gainas River Park with the lighting pedestals. But I don't know. I'm at odds. I don't know about all you. I don't know what they're spending the money on.
I think in all fairness, I know, I agree with you guys on the application process. They're great events. What I would maybe ask is maybe what we can do is if you guys are okay with this, have a special meeting. Mr. Marcus, and city manager, if you guys could maybe get more information, and specifics on how the funding will be used from city staff. And then we could have a special meeting. I know we were talking about possibly one already. So, I think we have a little bit of time, a small window, but I think we have some time. Is that fair?
I think that's fair, Mayor, and Mr. Lucas, with us working together, I'd really like the applications to be
I'll do the
completed
applications this
appropriately
time.
and resubmitted.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we table this request till that meeting happens and it can be brought back to us.
Motion by
Second.
Pro Tem Montoya, second by Counselor Casey. Roll call.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya? I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Casey. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries to table.
And I just want to, these items, I know in discussion with the city manager, we talked about removing them, but we thought it was only fairness to let them go before and us not to be the determining factor, being that it did, the Lodgers Tax Board did approve it, but city manager and I did have those same concerns on that, but we thought, again, we're a team and we brought it to you guys and, so that's why it was on. Those same questions were asked. Thank you.
Moving on to item number 18, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $15,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used for the tree lighting ceremony.
Mayor Council, this was brought to the Lodgers Tax Board for pretty much for decorations for this tree, for the tree lighting ceremony that we have every year at Christmas time.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion? If not, I'll ask first if there's a motion. If not, then question. No motion, so Counselor Casey.
I move that we discuss it. Do we buy new decorations every single year? Do we not ever save anything for one year to the next, or
I believe they,
broken, tossed away? What do they do with everything?
I have no idea.
Counselor, I think Arnold would be the one to answer this.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure to answer. So we do save all the decorations, as long as they sustained. And I purchased a Connex box specifically for all our decorations. So now they're stored separately, securely. And just to mention, we've already ordered a lot of ornaments and lighting, different things that it took actually like 5 or 6 months to get, no? They're custom ordered stuff, already have a plan and there's gonna be a lot of stuff already included that's on hand that we received like about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then new lights for some of the trees, decorations for light poles and stuff in the bridge area and throughout the city actually, so we're well prepared now.
Mr. Arnold, just to add to that, normally, when these lights are purchased, it comes out of your department, right?
Yes, sir, and actually, we had a counselor that was very generous and gave some of his council money towards that, and we've utilized quite a bit of that money already to purchase nice stuff.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Reed.
may I ask,
Pro Tem.
I'm sorry, may I ask, last year's safety cameras, they were the police departments or whose?
I didn't even know there was safety cameras.
Islands?
So the surveillance cameras that were purchased, actually, they're in our possession, but they do belong, and actually, they're supported by Chief, right, Chief?
That's correct. The safety cameras are actually purchased by utilities, and then the city, last city manager purchased one camera to be held by the city for events like this. After the transition a few months ago, we did acquire one of the safety camera trailers, and I think utilities has two, if I'm not mistaken, but we are paying the bill for the service on it.
So how many cameras do we have?
We have one here at the city,
Trailers.
on-site trailers,
Yeah.
and I don't know if utilities, Travis might be able to answer how many they have for the security trailers, the cameras. Two, okay.
Okay.
So three total.
Are those the same ones that we're using for the water treatment plant or for the water tanks up at Luna?
Yes.
Or are
that's
those
correct.
separate? Different?
That's part of them, yes, sir.
No, okay. Okay, so we're requesting two more or five more trailers at $2,000 apiece for a total of 10,000 with this request.
I don't think you're looking at the right one, Counselor.
We're on the
This is
tree
for
lighting.
Tree lighting ceremony
Okay.
number
Okay. Yeah, I do have the item number 16.
18.
It's on the last page
18?
of your agenda.
We didn't deal with Rio de las Luces?
It's tabled.
Oh, I'm sorry, I confused my paperwork over here. Well,
Salute to the troops is what?
That was
That was-
tabled.
That was removed.
Moved, yeah.
Moved, okay, removed. Okay, sorry, I didn't remove it off my folder. That's why I'm mixed up, okay. Okay, never mind.
Questions?
Never mind my question, thank you.
So,
Sorry, no wonder you look like kind of lost.
so Christmas tree decorations, I mean, that includes anything and everything that you find that looks like Christmas?
Basically, they wanted more of the, like the bigger ornaments or whatever, I think is what they were discussing.
Does that include the tree?
Tree's dead
Quite
now.
possibly.
I'm sorry. It's just. Okay. I don't have it.
Mr. Mayor, can we, is it possible to table this to that same,
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
I mean,
Okay.
we, you know, I think we all think somewhat alike, you know. The city does purchase I guess all of this stuff was approved last year at one point, and it continues to be approved annually. I wasn't here last year, so I couldn't explain that, but if these things are being approved and they're approved this vague, it's really not right. So, you know, maybe the best thing to do is table it so we can get, you know, some kind of, format, you know, in place so that we can just, you know, get through it. And then maybe we can find out what's still usable, you know what I mean? Maybe 15,000 is too much. Does that mean 15,000 is all spent on that and not returned back to the departments that they need to go to?
I would believe that they would save them for the following year. Again, just to put the board at ease, they made motions to make sure that they come back and present what they did with that money. So that would probably give you your breakdown. I don't know if they know exactly what decorations they're going after. That's the decorations that they were discussing over at that meeting. I just presented the way it's given to me.
Okay, yeah, I just think we should table it. And I move, Mayor, I move to table the item to the next possible meeting.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Martinez to table. I have a second by Councilor Casey. Discussion?
That's not, a tabling motion is non-debatable. You cannot talk, just vote.
No, you can't debate the motion, but you can talk.
Table?
I think you can
Sorry.
have discussion, sorry, I was
Yeah,
mid-drink, but I can double check the rules if you guys would like.
You just can't question the motion.
It looks like I'll allow it this time, but then we'll get clarification. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're saying this is $15,000 for Christmas tree lighting?
I'm not sure if it's just lighting or if it's decorations as well, sir.
It says decorations.
What ceremonies do you have? I don't know. Tree lighting ceremony. That's what it says.
So there's two Christmas trees in town that they light for Christmas.
Yeah. And this is for the ceremony, the event, or decorating the trees?
I believe it's for decorating, sir, to make sure that they have enough decorations up on the trees. I guess, Chuck,
I'm sorry, Councilor Casey's correct. Roll call.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
No.
I have a motion by Counselor Martinez, a second by Counselor Casey, and this is to table the item. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to the last item, item number 19, request approval of Lodgers Tax Board recommendation for funding in the amount of $5,000 to the City of Las Vegas to be used for the Turkey Trot. Mr. Marcus.
Last one. Thank God.
I just move that we table this
Yeah.
item also because there is no itemization as to how much each item is going to cost.
Motion by Counselor Casey, to have a second? Second by Councilman Martinez. Roll call.
Counselor Montoya? Yes. Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Martinez? I have a motion by Counselor Casey, a second by Counselor Martinez to table. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. That is the last item on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr.
Motion by
Mayor.
Counselor Casey, second.
Second.
Second, you choose Cassandra. Meeting's adjourned.